Hey everyone, welcome to the NFL edition of the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast for November 23rd, 2016, brought to you by FantasyLabs. I'm Matthew Freedman, the editor-in-chief. A quick word before we jump into the show. This episode is focused on the main slate of games for the week. If you want analysis on the Thanksgiving slate, be sure to check out this week's other NFL Flex episode, in which I'm joined by Peter Jennings. And speaking of Peter, he and Adam Levitan are on the show. You can follow them on Twitter at CSURAM88 and Adam Levitan. And also joining the show is David Kitchen at Soccer Dave. He is the CEO of Fantasy Insiders and the host of the Insiders Sirius XM Fantasy Show, as well as the Swolecast. David, how's it going?
It is going great. Bucket list accomplishment achieved.
Right. Yes.
I've always wanted to be on a show with Peter and Levitan. And you too, Freedman.
Yeah, well, it's a nice tertiary benefit there. How was week 11 for you?
It was bad. I mean, AJ Green, when he's in 100% of your cash contest, it's going to be bad. And I just because of CJ Prosise, because I had such a good feeling about him, even after the coach speak, I went CJ Prosise on FanDuel as well as RB2, and that put me on AJ Green, whereas if I had just jammed in David Johnson with Lev Bell, then I wouldn't have been on AJ Green. But it was bad. I did have one Millie Maker lineup that at one point was doing well, and I did okay on DraftKings. But AJ Green, he didn't even get you anything before. At least Prosise got you 15 points beforehand. So that's kind of how your week went. If you had AJ, it was really tough to cash on in anything.
Yeah, it was pure destruction. Levitan, Peter, any week 11 goodness for you guys?
Yeah, I will say that Lesean Mccoy hurt his thumb and did not come back into the game. I mean, can we talk about this for a second? The dude, if you hurt your thumb, Josh McCown, I used him in cash earlier this year, broke his collarbone, sprinted to the locker room, got an x-ray, showed that his collarbone was broken, ran back into the game for my cash game team. Lesean McCoy can't even get back into the game with a thumb injury, and he says he's going to play this week. So that tilted me pretty hard.
It was dislocated. It wouldn't pop back into place. He's going to have surgery on it.
Okay. I mean, you can carry the ball in your other hand, can you not?
This might be something where you are detaching reality from fantasy purpose.
What about Josh McCown?
Josh McCown's a baller. I love him.
Okay, thank you.
Josh McCown's just a goat, Adam, and I thought you tweeted about how you weren't going to complain about this.
You're right. I did.
Injuries so far this year. Although, if I was in your shoes, I'd be complaining nonstop. I did have Lesean McCoy in some really expensive contests. It did hurt, but yeah, I didn't have him in cash. I would be complaining more than you are. So
you're right. I'm not complaining. I do want to say, though, welcome to Kitchen. Kitchen, one of my favorite people to do shows with. We have done shows before. It's amazing. So Kitchen is the man. Glad to have him here.
Yeah, Kitchen's also the sexiest man alive. This is a bucket list item for me, having this guy on the show here. Swolecast, shout out to that. I've listened to every single episode of the Swolecast. I don't know. How long have you been doing it, Dave? I think I've listened since episode 1. So
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's the nuts.
It's back when Evan was doing one show a week, and now he does 30.
Yeah.
Maybe 31. He's a show whore, but we were his first.
He is a show whore, but you can tell the chemistry is there with you guys. And
we love him.
I would say we are huge fans of Silva overall, everyone here. Silva has had some rough takes on the Swolecast. You guys have had to kind of reel him in. He's had He's also had some great calls.
He had some really good ones, ones that really paid off, and then he had Brady in cash.
Well, it's just so funny to me, and we'll dive into it here in a second. But Evan is one of those guys I've been on the same page a lot this year. But when he gets on a pick, he is there. He's staying on it.
Don't like the Brandon Cooks, the first Brandon Cooks against the Panthers, where that's all he would talk about. And I would ask him another question. He would just come back with Brandon Cooks, and sure enough,
that's my favorite.
Sure enough, he went off. But there are some times Tom Brady last week or the week before, week 9. But I was like, any other quarterbacks? He's like, no, we're going with Brady. If Brady in cash and GPP, if he doesn't work out, we go to another week.
Yeah. What do you say? I'm rolling Brady. If it doesn't work out, on the next week.
Dude, Evan is the GOAT. When you go out on a limb a lot like he does, you're going to be wrong sometimes. You know what I mean? Evan is the GOAT.
I'm not trying to call him out. Evan is literally the GOAT. I mean, the Swolecast I mentioned, I've been reading Evan's article since day one. I mean, I've started playing DFS, and he's the nuts. They're not trying to say anything bad about. Big friend of the pod. It just he's had some moments where I can't remember who was injured for him on a Thursday slate where he was just perseverating on that. It was hilarious. I just love Evan so much.
All right. Well, speaking of another Roto World guy, Levitan, you had a pretty big week for skill game props, at least. One might say you were a Levitanimal.
I haven't heard that one before.
Wow.
That is horrible.
So, sometimes I just come up with these for my own enjoyment. No, but Levitan, you were 6-0, and guest Jeff Ratcliffe was an efficient 3-0, which means that Pete and I were basically buying you guys a keg over there with a collective 2-11.
Yeah.
I think the one prop that sums up everything the best was Pete wanted to take Hilton, and Levitan, you came in wanting to take AJ Green. Mm-hmm. And then Pete mocked you for offering such a ridiculous pairing, and then you guys somehow switched, and you took Hilton, and he took AJ Green, and then we know how that went. So pretty much emblematic of Pete's skill game Week 11 action. Anyway, for the season, we have Levitan now at 55-43. Pete is 56-57, and I'm 32-29. David, I have to say our last 4 guests are combined 31-14, and that includes a smoking hot 13-4 from Swolecast partner Davis Maddock. What is your plan for keeping that hot streak going?
I mean, I guess channel my inner Davis. I'll turn my hat around to where it's flat brim and speak in kind of a high-pitched voice with lots of hot takes.
That sounds perfect.
Cards and you'll be set. If you just start shuffling some cards, I'm pretty sure you're good on the skill game.
I want to take those cards and just throw them in the fire right in front of him where he just has to watch them burn.
Oh man, I love it so much. Davis was fantastic. So big shoes to fill over there, Kitchen.
Well, other than channeling your inner Davis Maddock, what else do you do in your DFS process? Like, what does that look like for you for a given slate?
So it kind of changes. Now the process is I host the Sirius XM Fantasy Insider show every night. They gave us the best slot, the last slot, 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern. So I have the whole day to kind of figure it out, and I get to prep for the show and also talk to some smart people that I respect their opinions before we start. And so that kind of starts the process, is being a host on a show, having to do research and hearing other people. So that helps. Being the CEO also means that I get in games a lot later than I would like to. Things take priority. Now I have 2 precious little girls that take even more priority. So that's why I was like in favor of the no late swap on DraftKings, because I have like a life. And last year it was like going to dinner with a laptop like on the table. It's like the dinner and my laptop on the table. And so I'm trying to be more balanced, and I'm really just trying to stay afloat right now until my girls get a little older and we figure out this process. But as far as like research goes, it's mainly like for the shows, and then that helps my DFS play. So it's nice that it kind of goes hand in hand.
Sure, I hear you there. And let's go ahead and jump into the show. Just for everyone watching or listening, we are recording this on Tuesday. So one, I would say that at this point, we're still very focused on the Thanksgiving slate. And obviously news is going to impact some of these calls here. And then secondly, we are focusing on roster construction and game theory. For more information, check out our NFL dashboard. This week with Thanksgiving, there won't be any game previews, but of course the positional breakdowns will be out on Wednesday. So let's go ahead and jump into it. David, who are the guys that you are looking at right now that you think are going to be pretty chalky that you don't mind being on right now?
I think the first thing you have to do is look at the spreads and see kind of the games, the teams that are very highly favored or have an implied team total. You got the Falcons, you got the Patriots, and a little bit surprisingly to me, you've got the Bills up there as well. So I think there are like a lot of teams with like the same implied team totals. I do think that roster construction is going to be a little different. They have obviously tighter pricing, but on FanDuel, you go a little heavier with wide receivers. On DraftKings, you go a little lighter. I also think that I don't know if like chalky is the word, but I think Edelman is going to be chalk. And maybe after last week, maybe people are going to be chasing points with Malcolm Mitchell. He was in that lineup that I had that did well in the Millionaire Maker lineup, but he's only 3K. So I think he's going to be like potentially chalky, but Tyler Boyd also on DraftKings, because you're looking for like savings, and AJ Green being out means that shares have to go around. So Tyler Boyd obviously is going to be the beneficiary. He had a good week last week. And also I think you have to consider with that Eifert as well. People always look for, okay, what's the news this week, and what does that mean for my team? So I think Tyler Boyd, especially on DK where he's 4K, is going to be a pretty chalky option this week.
Levitan, any thoughts there? I don't know if your ownership projections are up yet on the site, but I'm sure you're putting some thought into that. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, so breaking news, we decided to do ownership projections for the Thanksgiving slate. So I spent some time working on those today. So you can go to the site. If you go into the models and you sort by Thursday only, you will find ownership projections for Thursday. I'm expecting to get the main slate ownership projections out late tonight at some point. But yeah, my initial thought was that the most highest owned wide receiver will be Amari Cooper. I think everybody saw him just go nuts down there in Mexico. And now he gets this amazing matchup with the Panthers, who have an extremely stout run defense and are still very weak in the secondary, even with Bradbury and those guys starting to play better. So I think Carr to Cooper will be by far the most popular stack. I can already tell that Peter is going to be playing Carr Cooper in cash. It's pretty much a stone lock. I think that the value plays that'll be popular. I think Dave mentioned some of them, Tyler Boyd and Brandon LaFell. My concern with Boyd, I guess, is that I'm not sure we'll see necessarily a role change, meaning he's been their slot guy all year. He's rarely moved out of the slot. Obviously, AJ Green is an outside receiver. I think we'll just see a lot more Brandon LaFell. Now, from a target share perspective, Boyd's target share should go up, but I think Brandon LaFell might actually get the bigger boost there, but he's also 4,600. He's a little bit more expensive. And the third guy, I'm not sure if Dave mentioned him, but Devante Parker. I mean, guys playing San Francisco are always going to be popular, and Devante Parker, I think, has turned the corner to a point where the coaches have trust in him, in his ability to prepare for the game, in his ability to sustain health. And like, they were like complaining that he wasn't drinking enough water. He was eating like cereal instead of like whatever he's supposed to be eating for breakfast, and it seems like he has his head on straight now, and that should make a difference. So I think he'll be pretty popular. I'll let Pete hit on some running backs, but I think Ajayi and David Johnson up top will be the most popular.
Yep. Ajayi will certainly garner a lot of ownership. Haven't rostered him that much this year, but that might change. Makes me a little bit nervous paying a huge price tag for him and finally playing him this year. But one running back I'm curious your guys' thoughts on, I think sets up well, is Rashad Jennings. Had a really nice game. Now goes against Cleveland, who's obviously terrible, involved in the passing game as well. So I think he's someone that's certainly interesting. Melvin Gordon might garner some ownership at the running back position. I prefer paying up for David Johnson, but certainly is interesting. Outside of that, I mean, I wonder what Thomas Rawls will end up being owned. That whole situation with Seattle is a little tough to figure out now. It is kind of a tricky week in terms of identifying chalk. I mean, I think Derek Carr will be the most heavily owned quarterback. I do love Cooper. I'm a huge Cooper fan in general, but he is expensive, so I'm not sure his ownership. One question I have for you guys as well is the Saints in this spot. Rams defense is certainly playing a lot better now, but Drew Brees at home certainly is an interesting play as well. So it's a tough week for me at this point in terms of identifying all the chalk plays, but I do think the Saints are really interesting. Coby Fleener might be really popular at only 3,100 on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we need Ingram news. If Ingram is definitely ruled out, I think Tim Hightower at 5,400 will be popular. I mean, I actually think that Rawls at 57, they have nobody. Tremaine Pope hurt his ankle. Alex Collins can't play. They cut C-Mike. Like, Thomas Rawls is really the only guy there playing Tampa. So I think he's pretty strong too. And then the punt play at running back, I think, will be Jeremy Hill. Even though that scares me. I mean, Baltimore has number 1 DVOA run defense, and Jeremy Hill has not shown much this year outside of the red zone, but he's 3,900, and he should see his touches go up with Gio out for the year.
You prefer him over Terrence West?
Yeah, I think they want to get Kenneth Dixon more work. I didn't even think about West. I'd have to think about that. But right now, I'd say I prefer Jeremy Hill.
Didn't they basically split carries last week, West and Dixon? Like, West, I think one thing that benefited West is that he got off to a hot start. Like, he got that touchdown to immediately start the game. And then I don't know if you can trust it. I just don't know if you can trust the Baltimore running game, because it's like week to week, even after they change offensive coordinators.
It is tough.
I do agree with Jeremy Hill on DraftKings. It's like, I think the pricing is a lot better this week. They've got like the social experiment DraftKings pricing where, like, obviously Gio Bernard, we didn't know when they set this pricing that he was going to be out with the torn ACL, but now we do. And so it's like, okay, you saw them limit Ezekiel Elliott, if you want to even call it that. And now, like, how much do you want to play a guy against the number 1 rush defense that has looked really, really solid? But at 3,900, like, what's his floor? Like 6 points? Like, I mean, that's a pretty solid floor. We don't know how often he's going to be used in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, with Hill, you're looking at a very high minimum number of touches with locked-in goal line carries, if anyone is getting goal line carries. So that's pretty enticing. Let's talk about some of the guys that we would maybe be looking to get away from in this slate. And Levitan, I'm going to start with you. There are some guys that look like they can maybe be in decent spots, but, maybe like Fitzgerald in Atlanta, for instance, or, there are some other guys that maybe we'd be tempted to get away from. Anyone come to your mind right now?
Yeah, I mean, I assume Fitz will be popular. I think our projection on him right now on the site is pretty big. It concerns me that he faded down the stretch last year very badly, and they've been asking to carry such a big workload this year with Floyd struggling and John Brown struggling so badly. I mean, that would concern me. I think I'd much rather go DJ and Carson Palmer. I mean, I think we can agree he's done. Like, does anybody think Carson Palmer has anything left whatsoever? So that would concern me from Larry Fitzgerald's perspective. The Jay Ajayi thing is interesting. I agree with Peter. I have not used him yet this year, and now it's kind of like the LeGarrette Blount thing last week. Like, I haven't used LeGarrette Blount all year. I didn't use him last week at all. Like, are we going to pay $6,500 for LeGarrette Blount? Are we going to pay $7,600 for Jay Ajayi? That said, like, home against San Francisco, it's really hard to see him failing. I don't know. What do you think about Ajayi, Kitchen?
Ajayi is in a interesting spot in that he's like it's not like he's in the 6K range. I mean, he's priced pretty heavily. It's in the 7,600 range, and that typically in the past has been like in that Lev Bell, David Johnson type. I mean, that's where the running backs have been in the mid to upper. But he does have the matchup. I think if you're playing David Johnson, I think you can go Ajayi if you pair him with a cheap flex play, and then you also go like 2 cheap receivers or mid to cheap. And I think like those Bengals and maybe not Malcolm Mitchell, that he's probably like a GPP play, but I think you do have some options there. For me, I think it's going to be like Rawls, David Johnson, and then try to figure out what I'm going to do with that third one based on how I like the receivers lining up.
Yeah, Ajayi's tough to take. I mean, I talked about him as a chalk play. I think he'll end up being pretty heavily owned. Anyone who has rostered him and had exposure to those big games certainly is going to come back to Ajayi here against San Francisco. So I'll boost his ownership. I'm just torn if I should do it or not. I think I probably won't have too much exposure. Again, it's Tuesday. A lot could change. But Yeah, it's tough to figure out who to pivot from. One guy that I think is interesting in tournaments to pivot from is Edelman. I think he will be a chalky cash game play, and for good reason. But last week there was a lot working in his favor. They had the narrative street. Brady was obviously trying to get going. And I thought there might be a chance that, running backs the running back situation could be kind of muddled with Deion Lewis coming back. And I think that could affect Edelman going forward. Deion Lewis had some really nice plays. And one guy I like a lot for tournaments as a pivot is Brandon Cooks. I think he's a really good play. 5 of his 6 touchdowns at home this year. Obviously has the big play potential. He's averaging, I think, 21 yards per catch at home versus 9 on the road. So that's a guy I really like for tournaments as a pivot.
I'm glad you mentioned the Saint situation and being at home in New Orleans. I was going to ask about some of those receivers. Another guy I'm interested in is Odell Beckham Jr. playing in Cleveland. Cleveland is horrible against wide receivers. I know that Levitan, is like a mortal enemy of OBJ, but I'm curious if there are any thoughts on him.
People are going to use the excuse that it was windy, and that's why Odell didn't have a good game last week. I mean, he wasn't going to have a good game regardless. He still only has 2 games over 100 yards all year.
Man, you are biased.
I mean, he's 8,800, right? Like, he's 1,100 more than Amari Cooper. I think Odell will be very, very popular because it's tough spots for Julio against Patrick Peterson, for Mike Evans against Richard Sherman. Not the best spot for Fitzgerald, I would say, at his price. So I think that Odell will be pretty popular. It's definitely a scary fade anytime with Odell, especially against Cleveland. Maybe we'll have some wind again. I don't know. I assume you guys are playing Odell.
Oh, again, I think if you go heavy on running backs, it's kind of tough unless you go too cheap, unless you go like Parker, Boyd, and then a cheap tight end. But he's definitely in the conversation. Like you said, it's a scary fade anytime you fade an elite wide receiver, bias aside, against the Cleveland Browns. Because it feels like if they wanted the game plan to be, okay, Odell gets at least 2 touchdowns, like Odell gets 15 targets, like they could make that happen realistically. Like, so if they want Odell to have a good game, he's going to have a good game, regardless of all the other options that they have available.
I would say that I think Josh McCown getting back under center is good for Odell in that the Browns should actually be able to score. Like, it's not like they can just not score and be with the way it would have been with Cody Kessler.
Yeah, Gary Barnidge gets a bump with that. I had to throw that in. Adam, I think you're pretty, you don't really have any, I don't know how to describe this. You're not against rostering pretty much anyone except for Odell Beckham.
Yeah,
where did this come from? Let's get to the crux of this because we've brought it up a lot. I mean,
so the crux of it is, like, during his rookie year, I remember specifically fading him, not because I didn't think he was good, just because I thought he was overowned and he couldn't keep up this pace. And then he starts making these obscene one-handed catches 50 yards down the field. I just thought he was running really hot. When Spieth, I don't really follow golf too closely, but wasn't Spieth running completely absurd with his putter for a while?
Yeah.
And just unsustainable, right? So I just felt like it was unsustainable with Odell, and I think we've seen it come up this year where he just hasn't been that productive because he's not running like he was before. He gets tilted, he gets frustrated, and it's just pathetic to watch.
I like that you brought in the Spieth golf reference because that makes it – putting is the most noisy stat in all of DFS. There's so much variance and luck in it, and Spieth obviously ran hot. NFL, you could argue there is a ton of touchdown variance. There definitely is. And Odell certainly did run hot with that, but the guy's a freak. I mean, I don't roster Odell that much. Watching him run those slants for 90 yards is probably the most tilting thing I experience on a somewhat regular basis in NFL DFS.
The only receiver, this per Rich Rebar, the only receiver with 8 targets or more in every game this season. Mm-hmm. He's just going to have consistency, and he is better at home. I just think that, again, if they want him to have a good game, he's going to have a good game.
Doesn't he have more touchdowns per game than any receiver in history, too? I mean, there's all these stats that are Beckham's the GOAT.
He's also 8,800. He's amazing, but he's also the most expensive receiver.
That's the thing for me. Yeah. Because you have
I prefer David Johnson or Beckham. I'll take David Johnson.
Of course.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about some of the stacks that we'd be looking for this slate. And Pete, let's start with you. Obviously, it seems like you're not going to stack OBJ with Eli Manning, but who are some stacks that you're looking at?
All right, so the number one stack I'm looking at is Carter Cooper. I mean, I'm the biggest Amari Cooper lover boy there ever was. I mean, that's my guy. I ride or die with Amari, just like Levitan rides or dies with Julio. The other stack I really like is Drew Brees and Brandon Cooks. We talked about it earlier, and I really want to address this. Evan Silva is the GOAT of NFL. I wasn't trying to say anything negative about him. I love Silva. I just wanted to make some jokes with Kitchen because there have been some funny moments where he's perseverated on some certain plays. But he called Cooks earlier. I'm excited to see what he has to say about him this week on the Swolecast. I think that Brees to Cooks makes a ton of sense for tournaments. You're paying up for both of them in some regards, which will lead to a little bit different roster construction. But I really like that spot for both of them, and I think Cooks has as much upside as almost any receiver. But, yeah, the chalk answer is Carter Cooper.
All right, David, what do you think?
I think one you have to consider is at Tampa Bay, but Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin. They both have been playing really well. Russ looks like his old self. Doug Baldwin, because of that, has just been going off lately. Baldwin is, I think, like only 5,800 on DK, so his price didn't really go up.
6,400, but yeah, he's close.
He's 5,800 last week, so it's up 600 compared to last week. And Russ, like that's just against Tampa Bay. Again, it's kind of like against San Francisco. Like you're going to get a lot of options there.
Levitan, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, those are my two favorite. Carr and Russ were certainly my favorite. I certainly think Brees is totally fine for cash. I think naked Brees is fine. I think Brees, Michael Thomas, Brees, Fleener, Brees, Cooks are all fine. I think maybe – I don't know if it's off the board, but, I mean, we've seen before when the Patriots play the Jets that sometimes their game plan, or a lot of times their game plan is simply not even going to try to run. Like, let's just let Tom Brady drop back 50 times and see what happens. Now, I understand Tom Brady is 7,800, and we typically don't like to pay up for quarterback. But if that is the game plan out of the Patriots, like, who knows what Tom Brady can do to this secondary. Like, he could just totally smash them for like 404 touchdowns if he wants to. This secondary is totally inept. So I think that might be the game plan for the Patriots, and that would make Brady to whomever very interesting. We'll see on the status of Gronk. We'll see on the status of Chris Hogan. But, yeah, I think that maybe we can go back to Martellus Bennett. Maybe we can do Malcolm Mitchell. Maybe we can do Edelman. Maybe we can do Dion Lewis, who I think immediately showed that he is going to take a lot of James White's market share as well as LeGarrette Blount.
Let's talk about Dion Lewis just real quick. Just from the eye test, and again, I know, Adam, you don't like to get into scouting. Maybe we can get Sexy Dave over there to get some comments here. But the elusiveness was there. I mean, he had a play, I remember on third down, where it looked like they weren't going to be able to convert, and he just made a really shifty move and easily got it. I'm pretty sold on Dion Lewis going forward, and I think that helps Brady, especially when he gets more and more snaps. He's really good in the passing game. Dave, what are your thoughts on him and just the whole Patriots situation?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Bill Belichick is still a coach there, so we're not exactly sure of what's going to happen. Like, how much are they going to ease him into the situation? How much are they still going to have White out there? We know what a talent Dion Lewis is from last year. You also had people like 3 weeks ago, teammates saying that they were just like stoked to see him running around in practice, like nothing has changed. But with the playoffs looming, I just wonder, like, how much are they going to use him really out there? Or is it just going to be continue just like in spots where when he's out there, he's going to get the use and that's it. Like maybe James White still has the overall snap count, but you just never know. When it comes to running backs and Bill Belichick, you never know. I think if anything, it boosts Tom Brady's value, and maybe not. I'm still not on board with playing like Dion Lewis unless it's like big time GPPs.
That's fair. I think that is a concern. And one thing last week, Martellus Bennett was the ultimate shock.
Right.
And you have to consider, I mean, Belichick decided to basically use him as a blocker and not expose him to injury too much with basically not allowing him to run as many routes. So, Dion Lewis definitely is a case. The Patriots are a lock to win the division at this point, essentially. And I assume that they'll be pretty careful with some of their guys. They do have a tough schedule down the stretch, and Oakland is looking good, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. So, Levitan, you said you wouldn't mind going naked Brees. Is this a situation where obviously Brady's in a good spot, but it's just so uncertain about who he might throw to where you would go naked Brady?
Yeah, I mean, I think the naked play can be underrated. I think Naked Cousins won the Millie Maker this week. Or no, didn't win the Millie Maker. Naked Cousins won the Listener League. I'm sorry, I'm getting my tournaments confused. But yeah, I think naked can be underrated at times. I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Like, Julian Edelman doesn't have a huge touchdown expectation, right? So, like, pairing Brady with Edelman might not give you the ceiling that you might want in a stack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. One that I think is interesting, especially once again, if you have Gronk out, if you have Bennett staying in to block more, if they're maybe a little careful with Deion Lewis and Hogan, who knows what's happening within. Danny Amendola is a guy that could get a little more action in the middle of the field, and no one wants to roster him, which is why I think he could have some potential in GPPs.
It's a good skill game prop on Amendola. Marking that one.
I think he only had like one catch last week, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for the touchdown.
Right.
He had 2 catches for 2 yards and 1 touchdown on 3 targets.
Perfect.
Levitan, you're killing my skill game prop stuff over here, buddy. Killing me.
No, I will say on Bennett, he did run 34 routes last week, stayed into block 10 times on pass downs. Like 34 routes is not bad. It's just, for whatever reason, they didn't really look at him.
All right, let's talk a little bit if there are some contrarian stacks, like Brady and Amendola, for instance, but some contrarian stacks that you guys might have in mind for this slate. And David, let's start with you.
I think that the first contrarian stack is if everybody's on Devante Parker this week, maybe they have forgotten about Jarvis Landry. And the thing with Jarvis Landry, he just hasn't been getting the targets lately. But against San Francisco, anything is possible. This is definitely a game where Jarvis Landry could get double-digit targets and just go ham. So maybe that's still kind of on the chalky line just because you were still using Tannehill against the 49ers. So I'll go a little bit more contrarian and go with Cam Meredith and Matt Barkley as a contrarian stack.
Oh, no. Don't write that down.
Oh, Kitchen, are you really just like everything was going so well for you before that?
I know, but I mean, people always talk about me being a Titans homer, but this is like reverse Titans homer.
Oh, my God.
You've got both these guys dirt cheap, and Cam Meredith probably going to get a ton of targets because Jay Cutler's no longer at quarterback. Look at his splits when Jay Cutler's his quarterback and when he's not. And he's probably going up against like Parrish Cox, who they said this week, Malarkey said this week, might even get benched. So
let me step in here for a second, Kitchen. The difference between Brian Hoyer and Matt Barkley is pretty massive, no?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Barkley has much better hair, but still, it's against the Titans secondary. And I just think if you're looking, this is a contrarian stack. And I think using a guy like –
it's very contrarian, Kitchen.
Cam Meredith and Barkley. Like, I don't know how you asked me a contrarian stack. I'll give you a contrarian stack. I'm not going like, Chalk City here.
All right, I'll give you a contrarian stack. We got to get off this topic.
Zach Miller's hurt also. He's done it this season.
Ow.
You're right. I asked the question. I deserve an answer like that. It's totally fair.
Oh, my God. That's so far off the board. Unbelievable. I think a contrarian stack that people can play is Eli and Sterling Shepard, whereas a lot of people will do Eli Odell. We still want to take advantage of Cleveland, and Sterling Shepard has seen double-digit targets, I believe, in like 2 out of the last 4 weeks, continuing to play well in his rookie year. And, teams sell out to stop Odell. We've seen the Bears do it. So I think Eli to Sterling can make some sense. And I don't even mind using Eli with Rashad Jennings. I forget who mentioned him earlier, but kind of like the way that the Giants ended last year was like Rashad Jennings playing almost every snap, getting 20 to 25 touches in every game, playing in the pass game, and playing really well down the stretch last year. It seems like they're ready to do that again as he continues to outplay Paul Perkins. So I don't mind pairing Eli with Jennings and Sterling and try to soak up a lot of the touchdowns that they're going to score against Cleveland, weather permitting.
We should have seen that last week too, because at the end of the Tampa Bay game, they just went pure Jennings. They went away from Perkins. It was just Jennings. So, Yeah, he's a good play. What about on the opposite side of that, though? Another contrarian stack going like Coleman and Terrell Pryor. I'm in love with the Coco.
I mean, the Giants' D has been really good, so it's hard to get too involved in it. But like Adam said, I mean, you got Mccown. You know, what's your something God? I don't even know.
Yeah, McGod.
McGod, yeah, McGod, yeah. There it is, McGod. I mean, the guy comes back from a broken collarbone. I mean, he's just the GOAT. He finds Gary Barnidge. He's going to find Coleman, who I definitely is going to have a big game at some point this year in garbage time maybe. But Pryor's looking good. I like that. I want to do something that's not quite as bold and, you know, maybe daring and stupid as Kitchen did with Barkley, but I'll go with Brock Osweiler as a sneaky snack. Basically mid-price here at home. I know it's a short week, coming back from Mexico City, but against the Chargers, I think that there's opportunity for success. And the one nice thing going in his favor is Will Fuller is back, and that guy can really stretch the field. Pretty unlucky with all the calls as well for Osweiler last game. So it's borderline stupid, but it's not Matt Barkley. So there you go.
Yeah, Barkley's not even 5K on FanDuel. Like I'm usually with you on these 5K FanDuel quarterbacks, Kitchen, but he's actually 6K on FanDuel.
I'm talking about DraftKings.
Oh, well, on DraftKings, it's just egregious. Like
totally. and Meredith is like 4,100. It's like, and then it leaves you enough salary. Maybe even throw in Eddie Royal in there, who only got 2 targets. How disappointing was he last week? I'm glad I wasn't on him, but he got like 2 catches. But without Zach Miller, without Alshon, they're going to have to throw the ball. Jordan Howard, he got 8 targets. You know how many of those 8 targets he caught? 1. He was bad. It was like bad in the passing game. So just go ahead and pencil down Cam Meredith for 10 catches this week, and let's move on.
Wow.
Levitan, so a quick question here. You mentioned the possibility of stacking Eli with someone besides Odell. Any thoughts on Will Tye? He's going against a Cleveland team that is the worst in the league against tight ends. He finally has that job all to himself, getting a decent number of targets each game, finally got in the end zone last week.
Yes, Freedman. I like where your head's at. I should be the one asking the questions. You should be answering. I love that. Yeah, I mean, Larry Donnell has been healthy scratch. Jarrell Adams, I think, is a blocker. I think when they want to throw the ball to the tight end, it's certainly Will Tye, who's, like I said, moved way up the depth chart.
All right, let's get some.
One quick comment, too. We need to get Barkley in the models. We currently don't even have him. We currently don't even have him, man.
He is a model.
Kitchen's going to have the last laugh when Barkley throws 3 touchdowns.
I see him in the model. He's just so far at the bottom that he's not showing.
I don't see him.
You got to sort by the right slate.
Oh, yeah, there he is. He is at the bottom. He is ahead of some guys. My bad.
All right,
I'm just embarrassing myself. Trash talking Kitchen and talking bad about myself. I need to shut up.
Let's do some bold calls here besides, the obvious Barkley Cam call there.
You said contrarian.
I did. Levitan, let's start with you. Actually, no. Let's start with David. He's already all like primed with this, with his normal contrarian calls. Give us some bold calls here. One that's sort of like a game call, and then one that's a DFS call.
All right, the bold DFS call. Oh boy, what's that?
Stay on brand. You're already there.
I know, and I've already mentioned this guy before, but the bold call will be, as long as Chris Hogan is still going to be out, that's Malcolm Mitchell will have double-digit DraftKings points, and that's what you want to see out of him for only 3K. So that would be like the DFS call. That I really like Malcolm Mitchell. I liked him in college. And last week, people might say, that touchdown was fluky, but they also couldn't, they said they couldn't throw downfield. So he might be the vertical threat there for the Patriots, which might work out well. The bold real football call. I don't know about the bold real football call. Come back to me and I'll give you the bold real football call.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Levitan, you ready or you need more time?
I'm ready with my real football call. You ready?
Yeah, let's do that.
My real football call is that the high-flying Giants, smelling themselves up at 7-3 somehow, despite having one of the worst turnover ratios in the league go to Cleveland. And if this was a Cody Kessler spot, the Browns would have absolutely no chance. But since this is a Josh McGod spot, he will resurrect them from the dead, get them their first win. Cleveland Browns on the board, beat the Giants on Sunday.
Nice. That was very on brand and bold. Pete, let's go to you.
All right. Well, for the DFS call, I'm going to call a Bronco. Shocker. But I actually think we didn't talk about this. It could be an interesting spot for Emmanuel Sanders here coming off the bye. I expect DT, if Peters is back, to see a lot of him. I think Sanders could have a really nice game in this spot. And, yeah, I mean, in terms of real-life football, I mean, Cleveland's a bold call. The Jets are a terrible bold call. I'm struggling here. I mean, the other home underdog is the Bears. I want to take them versus the Titans, but then I'd be going against everything I made fun of Kitchen for. So that's tough.
You've got Tampa Bay as a home underdog, but no one really wants them against the Seahawks.
I'm buying Russell Wilson right now in the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't really have a bold NFL call right now, so that's terrible.
That's fine.
I'll take the Jets.
You don't have to give one.
Yeah.
Listen to Levitan on this.
Let me give my bold DFS call. I gave my Browns to beat the Giants. All right, here's what's going to happen on DFS Twitter on Sunday. Everybody who rostered Martellus Bennett last week is going to be saying, oh, my God, of course, now Martellus Bennett gets there. So assuming Rob Gronkowski is out, like I mentioned, Martellus Bennett's usage was not bad last week. Yeah, he pass blocked more often than normal, 10 times, but he still ran 34 routes. I think that Martellus Bennett has an excellent chance for 2 touchdowns in a very, very pass-happy game for Tom Brady. So I think going back to Martellus Bennett is super sharp this week.
All right, I like it. Let's get some skill game prop action in
Hold
here.
on. I got my real bold.
That's right. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's my fault for not knowing the real bold call to begin with. But I'll go ahead and say, since Atlanta is 27th in DVOA, just go ahead and give me the Cardinals this week. I still can't believe like how bad their record has been, but they're going to do one for their coach. Is Arians even? Is he going to be traveling?
Yeah, he's supposed to go.
So they don't want to send him to the hospital again. So they got to win this week.
Oh no, too soon.
It's rough.
I would like that call, except Carson Palmer is literally dead. Like, the dude is so done.
I can't believe it. You haven't used your put him out in the tent and bury him line. It's so vicious, Levitan.
I shouldn't even say. People might not know what the tent is from, but should I say what it's from?
Yeah, give us the history, because you always use this line.
Yeah, and I feel really bad because obviously I love animals, but like when they do horse racing and like a horse like breaks his leg and obviously there's severe complications, they take the horse to the tent and they have to like euthanize the horse. I mean, it's really terrible. So shouldn't be joking about it, but yeah, that's where you take it to the tent.
You say euthanize quarterbacks all the time. It was washed up this year. You said someone, I'll put him in the tent and he's done. It's so bad. So bad to joke about.
That's really bad.
Even Kitchen's saying it's bad.
You know what I'm saying? It's bad. It's bad.
All right, I got a real life call for you guys. I'm gonna stay on brand here and say the Broncos win by at least a touchdown against the Chiefs, who have been rolling. So obviously last week was bad, but I'm gonna take the Broncos. Stay on brand here.
Shocker. I should go with Titans, because that 4.5 line, I should just hedge with Titans. And so if Barkley goes off, it's like I told you so. But the Titans, they definitely seem more than a 4.5 point favorite against Chicago.
Chicago also lost their best defender too. I mean, they lost Jarrell Freeman. Like, Chicago has nobody. Like, they are just barren.
But they have Matt Barkley and they have Cam Meredith.
They have 2 third stringers that Kitchen's gonna stack.
Championship.
All right, let's get to some skill game props. And Pete, let's start with you. Fire some silver bullets.
Right, we got to start off with the Barkley prop. I mean, this might be the greatest setup of all time. I mean, we're gonna get punished here because Kitchen's just gonna go at us.
Our projection is 13.9 DK.
All right, I'm taking under 14 points. Kitchen, you can have over. You want that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought you would give me 15.
No, I'm going to be fair. I'm not like Levitan. You get to see Kitchen. You have to remember this.
Levitan would be like 18.
Levitan just lurks and waits to get EV. We have to punish him here. I'm trying to set fair lines.
That's why last year I flipped it when you accused me of not giving fair lines. That's why I was like, fine, I'll take T.Y. Hilton. And then look what it got you, karma.
Oh, yeah, right in the ass.
I want to be under on Brandon Cooks. You want to be over, Pete?
Sure. What's the projection?
The DraftKings projection for us on Cooks right now is 15.5.
Over.
All right, I'll take it. Not that I don't like Brandon Cooks. It's just like I feel like you never know when it's going to be whose game for the Saints.
It's probably sharp in terms of just taking the under, just like overall. Like when he goes over, he's going to go over in a big way. But yeah. I still like Cooks a decent bit in the spot. Although I do respect the Rams' defense. They are playing really well. But it's at home. Give me Cooks.
Kind of stepping aside, looking at the fact that you do have another team that's playing in New Orleans, the Coors Field of daily fantasy football. Does anyone want anything at all to do with the Rams? You have Todd Gurley going against a really bad run defense. Pete, Tavon Austin, your guy. You want any piece of him? Kenny Britt. Aren't
the Saints? They've been toughening up against running backs, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I know that they've been a lot better against running back. Yeah, give me some Tavon Austin. I'll buy some Tavon Austin. Sure.
Fine.
I'll go on brand here and give some equity away. So you can Kitchen salivating over there makes me.
Our projection is only 9.8.
Yeah, give me the over. I'll take 10 or over. Anything in single digits.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Kitchen's you're waiting to pounce over there, right?
All right. Okay, so
you can take any of these two. You can jump on either side.
You can jump on anything.
As far as the Rams and Saints?
No, just any of these. Any single game prop, you can say you can take one of the sides.
All right, I'll take Brian Quick for double-digit fantasy points. How's that?
Fine.
Yeah, I'll take the other side of that.
Wait, what did you just say, Kitchen?
10 or more points from Brian Quick, DraftKings points. I'll go with Carson Palmer. It's actually the best value. I'm looking at the Adam Levitan model right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves Carson Palmer this week. So it's got the projection.
What a needle. What a good.
Got the projection of 20.5. So, Levitan, will you give me 20 points on Carson Palmer?
I'm going to have to talk to our projections team and get this sorted out right away.
Levitan's been focused on Thanksgiving. That is one thing. While we're doing this, the projections may be slightly skewed here.
I'll take Odell under 110 yards.
Oh, come on, Levitan. What are you doing?
You guys are telling me he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, and he's playing the Browns.
What do we have projected for? None of this. Hey guys, I'll take Drew Brees under 490 yards if anyone wants.
Honestly, our projections right now, we have Odell third in terms of raw points.
What's the points?
19.8.
All right, screw it. I'll take over.
Ooh,
I'll give it to you. I'll take 20. I'm not taking 110 yards.
That's fine. I'm not happy about it because I think this projection is low compared to what the rest of the industry will be. The rest of the industry is going to be just all over Odell Beckham.
I'm looking at another site in addition to your guys' site, and it's 18.9.
Wow.
There you go. Come on.
Fine. All right. Fine.
Still trying to act like he's a freaking generous guy over there. Unreal. Here, let me do this. I want to go back to the beginning of the show. I want to whatever Silva's strongest take on the podcast is. I want to go all in on that.
This is so Pete.
Classic move by Jennings.
I
feel so bad.
You've already dug yourself a big enough grave.
He is literally the GOAT. All I'm saying is there's been a couple plays this year where I've been with him and I'm like, oh gosh, Adam, he's all in, like beyond all in. I'm hedge like,
Yeah, he's gonna clear you.
I'm curious what you guys think about Julio against Patrick Peterson. Are we completely off Julio, or can we still play him? Because I'm kind of I love Patrick Peterson. I think he's the best, but I'm kind of tempted to still ride with Julio somewhat.
Yeah, his projection is just like across different sites is pretty high, even with Patrick Peterson. We saw what he did to Diggs, but I think there are two different types of receivers. I'm like, what would you put him at? Like, could we say like 17?
Yeah, I'll take over 17 if you want to do that.
Well, I mean, no. If we're doing that, I would take the over as well. But I'll go 18 under 18.
All right, fine. You got it. I got it right over.
Pete, you're taking the over?
Yeah. I think a similar thing is – or go ahead, Freedman.
Yeah, I was going to say I think I'll take the over. One thing that's interesting is kind of thinking about the Josh Norman situation last year where in that second game they moved Julio into the slot more so that he could avoid Norman. And I know Norman is different than Peterson, but I think that they will try to do some things to scheme Julio open. I mean, he's had some big games against – I mean, he had a big game against Seattle, right? Like, I think he has the potential to have a big game even with Peterson on him for a majority of the contest.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say next was that, Mike Evans is going to see Richard Sherman for a lot of this game because, I mean, the Seahawks might be playing without their other starting corner and because the Bucs just have nobody else. I feel like Adam Humphries is like a kitchen play, but let's be honest, they have nobody else beyond Mike Evans. Or are you an Adam Thielen guy, Kitchen?
It's Thielen. I've got a Thielen, and yes, I'm a big Thielen guy, but don't compare him to Adam Humphries just because they're both white and their first name is Adam. Thielen is a goat. He's going to go off this week, even though it's a Thursday slate. People watch this like, oh, man, he was right. But Thielen's like 6'2", 205. He's a big, like Jordan Nelson 2.0.
All right, I think Mike Evans still has a really good game here against the Seahawks. I'll go over.
I'll take Cooper over him. Give me Cooper. You can have Evans.
Come on, you're talking about the best player on the board.
What are you putting Evans at?
Evans, come on. Evans is more expensive.
No, Evans is 75. Cooper's 77.
Oh wow, what a donkey play! I'm looking at FanDuel right now. All right, fine.
What do you put?
Let me pick two guys, and
how about you take? I'll take Cooper. You want Julio?
No.
That's on brand right there. You should do that just because of the branding.
Fine. For you, I'll do it because you said I never give up equity, but we all know Cooper's a way better play. Let me take two guys under Cooper versus him.
Okay, done. I'll give you because you're just so generous. I'll be give it back, reciprocate the generosity.
All right. Yeah. Give me Mike Evans and Julian Edelman.
All right, and Kitchen, I gotta get that to you. This is just free equity. You're so sexy over there. We got to give him something nice. Take two guys
over Cooper,
and anyone with a price under Cooper. You can have any two guys, and the way it works is if either one of your guys outscores Cooper, you win.
Okay. Let's see. Give me Larry Fitzgerald.
That's a good one.
And give me Allen Robinson.
Oh, a little off the board there, Kitchen. I like
Buffalo's secondary is certainly scuffling.
They are scuffling.
Wait, could I go with Evans though?
Yeah, you can go. Anyone on the price.
Those are my two. I'm going with Fitz and Evans.
Okay, yeah. Then I'm going Fitz and Evans as well. I thought that I had to do two separate ones than what.
No.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do Fitz and Evans too.
All right. I don't think we've talked about any – have we done any running back props?
Let's do a Melvin Gordon prop. I want to hear where you guys are in Melvin Gordon.
I think there's better plays.
Okay. So what would you put him at?
So, I'd rather – if you gave me – I think Jennings and Rawls are both better point-per-dollar plays than Melvin.
Agreed.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but what do we think for $7K? I'll take Gordon over Ajayi.
Well, I'll take
Ajayi.
Yep, there we go.
Wait, that's probably the sure sign that he won there. Would you?
I just gave you all losses.
Would you?
There we go.
Would you do Gordon over Ware?
Yeah, I think
I'll take Gordon.
Yeah,
I'll take Gordon there.
Yeah, so
you want to book that up across the board? You take
Ware? No, I don't.
Okay, all right.
I think it's an underrated spot for Ware. I mean, if you're going to do something against Denver, you kind of have to do it on the ground.
Yeah,
I think it's a good spot for Ware, to be fair, but I would never take him over Gordon straight
one
up.
of the reasons I got off Ware and kind of jammed in Lesean McCoy for more last week was just because, like, I was looking at him. Ware, like, hardly ever plays more than 35 snaps and almost never gets more than 18 touches, you know? Like, throughout this whole year, it's been really rare for him to be over that. So I think he's just kind of capped a little bit. We see Charkandrick West a decent amount, and we see them play really slow. So, I want to be under on Spencer Ware.
All right. Any other running back props here?
I like Tim Hightower.
I like Hightower too.
It's going to be hard to make a
It's
prop.
hard to make a prop without the
Ingram,
news.
yeah.
Let's just assume that Ingram's out. Let's make one with a prop assuming that Ingram is out, or conditional on Ingram being out.
Okay, we can do it conditional.
I'll go. They're $100 difference. I'll go Gurley over Rashad Jennings if anybody wants to book that.
Oh, yeah, give me that.
I love it.
Give me Jennings. Give me Jennings.
I'm with Pete and Levitan on that one.
I just love that Kitchen's so fired up over there. And Kitchen, too. It's underrated, but drinking the drink that I normally drink, I went with wine today because Kitchen's on the show. I seldom do that. But
What do you call it, Pete?
LaCroix.
I knew you would call it that. It's LaCroix. Only people that try to be more fancy than they actually are call it LaCroix.
Well, that's definitely me. I try to be more fancy than I am because I'm not fancy at all.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I try to be sophisticated. But
You're no Smiz life over there. Come on,
Oh,
guys.
so far from Smith's life. One day I hope to be living even a tenth of Smith's life.
Their motto is enjoy LaCroix. It is LaCroix.
Is that right, Freedman?
Yeah.
You know,
I can confirm that Peter is not fancy because we talked earlier today about using a 20% off coupon on something that was $20 a month.
Yep.
I used a
Actually
BOGO
correct.
coupon on X yesterday. Can confirm.
You can't play six figures a week in DFS and use a 20% off coupon on something that's $20 a month.
Okay,
It's not allowed.
to be fair, I'm like probably the worst at using coupons, and I'm probably the worst consumer of like anyone in DFS. I guarantee I overpay more often than I should. I'm like stone worse, but like if it's there online, like the only time I'm good at coupons is like online, like promo codes, whatever. I sometimes like maybe 20% of the time will execute on that. Bringing a physical coupon to like the store, like no chance.
Yeah, it's yeah.
All right, let's hit on some tight ends here before we close it out. Any skill game props here?
Man,
It's kind of barren.
yeah.
I wish Jared Cook was on the main slate. People are going to chase those points.
I'll be low on Tyler Eifert, even though I think people are going to roster him with AJ Green out. I just think against Eric Weddle and Baltimore and a lot more attention being paid to Tyler Eifert, like I would rather go Greg Olsen. I would rather go Jimmy Graham.
Any thoughts on Brait going against Seattle? I mean, they're exploitable against tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have Will Tye over Brait. They're $100 difference.
Give me Kobe Fleener over Brait too. I'll take that if anyone wants it.
Yeah, I would like the Fleener side of that.
Yeah, I would too.
Come on, you throw him out. Look at
All right,
that.
I'll take
a guy and then just
I'll do you a favor, Pete. I'll take Will Tye over Fleener.
All right, give me the salon quality hair and a couple drops, and sure, I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll go Will Tye over Fleener as well.
Yeah, I'll do Tye over Fleener easy.
Wow.
All right, well, it's going to be extra tilting when Fleener drops a touchdown when he's wide open and there's not someone 10 yards around him.
Okay, and hey, if you want Fleener over Brait, Pete?
Yeah, give me that too.
Okay, I'll do that too.
Hey, I'll go Vance McDonald over Brait if you want to do that ugly tight end bet.
No, I don't want anything. I don't want any more exposure to Brait than I have. Any thoughts on Barnage there? I mean, Levitan, I know you really like Barnage with McGod coming back.
Yeah, I have no problem with Barnage. I think historically the Giants have been very bad against tight ends. I think they've plugged that leak to some degree, but yeah, I'm totally fine with Barnage with McGod in there. He's certainly a strong play. How can I be heavy on him? Who do you want to take against him?
I don't know. Do you want to? What's the line here? The projection we have 8.9. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'll go over 8.9. I don't have the splits in front of me, but I will have them. I'll try to tweet them out. Like Barnage with McGod is just –
Yeah, I would actually be higher than 8.9. I think that's a little bit low.
I'll go Dennis Pitta, double-digit fantasy points if someone wants to take that. 10 points.
Yeah. I'll take
the under.
I'll go with Kitchen. I want to be with Kitchen on this one. I'll take
do it. They're 28th, Cincinnati 28th.
Yeah.
His A dot is just like so low. Like he like literally runs 1
We're
yard.
doing this is all DraftKings points, right? By the way.
Yeah. Of course.
It's Pitta. Right at his average. Right around there. I'll take it.
All right. Last call on any skill game props.
Let's go to defense real quick, and we'll call it there. I'll take Denver D and Buffalo, and you guys can have any 3 defenses you want. Highest scoring defense out of the group wins.
This is rough. I'm backing out of this because anytime Pete has a feeling about Denver and he does this thing where it's like, I'll take Denver and you take 2, or I'll take 2 and you take 3, Pete always wins.
Go ahead. No, you go.
See, the sharps jump on this, Freedman. You gotta grow some balls, man.
Well, it's equity, but you always win. It's a value trap.
I am under them, and I'm whatever. I'm 56 and 57 or something. I mean, I'm just dishing out the Coors Lights now.
I will take New England, the New York Giants, and the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I'll go Giants and Dolphins, and then I'll go Titans.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, I'm going to be there with Kitchen. I'll jump on that, even though I know I'm going to lose.
Wow, I just saw Titans are 2,800. They're going to be the Uber chalk.
Yeah, I mean, unless you.
I mean, Barkley and Meredith are going for. Barkley's going for 350 and 4 touchdowns, and Meredith's going for 180 yards.
Only Fantasy Insider subscribers aren't playing the Titans defense.
You guys are freaking a-holes because
the chalk
is going to be tight. Don't try to pin Barkley to my brand. You guys,
we're not pinning him to that. That was really low, Levitan. We can't put Fantasy Insiders. That was a David.
Don't try to.
What are the odds that Barkley and Meredith come up on the Swolecast Kitchen?
No, don't waste time on that.
At this point, pretty high.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask it just to see Davis Maddock give the nah wave and like Evan be like, "What are you doing right now?"
I'm also going to get. I also guarantee on the Swolecast, Kitchen's going to throw me under the bus and say, "Hey, Pete, watch the Swolecast every time, and he's hating on Silva. Silva, I love you."
Last chance to apologize, Pete.
I'm trying to apologize like 100x because he's like. Levitan might be the most influential guy on like my teams, but Silva's right there. I mean, those are the 2 GOATs. I mean, is there any denying in terms of –
Do you always talk bad about people that you respect highly, like behind their back?
I wasn't trying to talk – all I was trying to say was there's a couple takes this year where I rode or died with Silva, and like it didn't work out very well for us.
You know what?
He's in 5 years before he batted 1,000. I mean, the guy just never missed, you know?
So by behind the back – Kitchen means a podcast that's going to be seen by thousands of people.
Yeah.
Pete, if you were putting Evan down to make yourself look better, mission accomplished.
He got me. That Brady week, though, I pivoted. I had 100% Cam, and I pivoted to some Brady. I'm like, yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting
Silva's totally right. Silva's totally right on this. I just played that same loop, like, it's Brady week. I'm all in. It doesn't work out on the next week. I'm like, that's right. That's what I'm doing. And it was unlucky. I mean, Brady got screwed in the red zone. Let's be honest. It just, there's been a couple of those like, I'm all in. I'm not backing down. Yeah, there you go. Digging the grave even deeper.
All right. Well, speaking of on to next week, I think let's cut the show here before Pete, insults anyone else that he really.
Pete is currently ordering a gift card. So by the time this show,
I'm going to PayPal him some cash or something. Do something. So Silva also the most influential guy on Twitter. I mean, he could just roast me. He should roast me.
Pete, maybe you can send him like an online discount code to something.
Yeah, no more wine ever on these shows. I love you, Evan Silva.
Wait, you said at the beginning of the show when you had consumed no wine.
That's not true.
All right. I'm pulling the plug on this show. Guys, thanks for being here. We've been speaking with David Kitchen, Adam Levitan, and Peter Jennings on Twitter at SoccerDave, Adam Levitan, and COCRam88. And you can follow me on Twitter at MattFOracle. I'm Matthew Freedman, and this has been the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast for the main slate of Week 12. If you'd like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Podbean, and don't forget to check out our NFL dashboard. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck, and we will see you next week.